Hey everybody, so welcome back to Snafu Performance Garage. In this episode I want to show everybody something that's really important. Something I think needs to be brought up because this is the third engine that I've taken apart in the last year or so that I've seen this problem, and I don't really have I do have a solution to it, but I don't really have an answer for it. And the reason I don't have an answer is because I didn't put any of these engines together, so I don't know what was done before I got it in my possession. So this engine is a 396 I'm putting together for my buddy Justin. I built a 327 for him years ago, 10, 12 years ago, and he loves it. So this is just a 396 to go in his pickup truck he's going to play with. Sunny heavily and around. When he sent me this engine, it had two problems. He bought this engine sight unseen, not running, so he knew what was going on. It's been a complete disaster. I mean, someone really hacked this thing up. The valve spring seat pockets, the valve springs, the rocker arm studs, the guide plates, the push rods, all different stuff in this engine. Like, what a hack job, whoever put this thing together. I mean, just cobbed up shit. So no wonder it had problems, right? So the number one problem, the reason that he didn't want to just run it the way it was, because he was told it was a running engine, was because when he drained the oil, it had a whole bunch of antifreeze in the oil, and it was chocolate milk. So right away, I thought, it's probably that they didn't put sealant on the head bolts, and there was sealant on them, but I don't know, maybe it wasn't enough. And all it takes is one head bolt to leak, right? But we wanted to take everything apart, have the block checked, have it magnafluxed, hot tanked, pressure tested. So I took it to the machine shop, they hot tanked the whole thing, they magnafluxed it, they pressure tested it, found no leaks in the block, no leaks with the heads, everything checked out fine. So was it an intake manifold gasket? The intake manifold wasn't on when I got it. And head bolts were out and loose, and this thing was just a mess. It was literally in a tote. Worst possible scenario to get an engine from somebody is in a million pieces, not knowing where it was done. Never again. So with that being said, when I started taking things apart that weren't touched yet, it had this oil filter adapter housing on it. Now, a lot of you have probably seen these. It has to be used on the early 60s 327s, 283s, 262s, any of the engines that had a canister style spin-on filter. Well, this engine is a 66 396, so from 65 to 67, they had a canister style filter, just like the small blocks. I'm sure a lot more of you have seen the small block style that you had to put one of these adapters on. Anyhow, you get this adapter. It's got an O-ring here. I don't have the O-ring here. There was an O-ring there, but it broke. I threw it out. Now, the funny thing is, and here's what I want to point out to everyone. There was no gasket on the inside of this. Now, this is supposed to have an extra thick gasket, and what that does is when you sandwich all this down, that gasket's supposed to meet against the top of this, right? Well, if that gasket's not there, there's nothing to seal. And the problem is that your oil's coming out, going in, right? Going where it belongs. And if this is open to these holes, well then it's just bypassing your oil filter. Your oil is not getting filtered. So what happened in the last three engines that I saw, and I'll show you a picture of the bearings that came out of this engine, it looked like sand had gotten in the engine. Because we don't know how long, right? Because I don't know who put this together, how it was done. There was never any gasket on the back side of this adapter housing, and it was literally not filtering any of the oil. It could have been put together like that with someone not knowing right from the get-go. That's possible. Maybe they never put it in. Or my other theory is, since I've seen three engines like this, is it possible that this gasket is a failure point and it disintegrates, gets chewed up in the oiling system, and I'm finding these, maybe a year, 2, 3 years down the road that don't have the gasket in there anymore because it disintegrated, got sucked in the oil filter, sucked in the oil pump. Who knows? So, like I said, I didn't put these together. I don't know. What I can tell you is, and we're going to get some information back from Justin, the guy that owns this engine, is that this is the style that I used 10 or 12 years ago on his 327. I wasn't aware that there was different styles available. So the 327 had the same style, and I know for a fact I put the gasket in that because I've done a couple of 327s for myself. I have a 283 that I've got this style on. I put the gasket in there. What we're concerned is is that gasket failing and getting lost down in, when you drain your oil, take the filter off, is it falling out? I don't know. So we're trying to do some of this investigation on this. He ordered another one of these for the 327, and he's going to put it on himself. He's pretty handy. So anyhow, that's the scoop, right? This gets bolted down in there. This will make it so you can put a regular filter on here, a spin-on style. I've got these Wix filters, so you can see like this. I don't know if this will even thread on here. This is probably not the right thread for this one, right? No, this is the wrong thread for this one, but it's the right thread. It's the right thread for this one here, right? This is like a PH8A filter. This is just the superseded number, the 5151XP. That's the 5151 is one of the filters that's used on a number of different adapters that you might have. So anyhow, what I want to show you is there is an alternative to this style. If you have this style and you're afraid of it, check your cars out, because you might not be filtering your oil either, and it's only a matter of time before you have a disaster. So Transdapt makes this style filter adapter, and you can see right here, spin-on filter adapter, 56 to 67 small block Chevy oil filter. Now here's the thing, if you look these up, it only states that it's 56 to 67 small block, right? I don't know why they only show that, because the fact of the matter is, once you open this up, right on the inside of their box, if you, I don't know if you can zoom in there, Sean, this part number, 56 to 67 small block and big block. So if you guys are out there looking at this thing and seeing that it says only small block, that's false. It's actually big block and small block. And I'm going to show you here that this is the kit. That's the part number. I'm going to be putting this in a big block. I know for a fact it fits. We're going to bolt this on. I hope I'm being clear enough here so you understand what I'm trying to, the message I'm getting across. That there's probably a lot of you out there that have this issue possibly, and you have no idea. You bought the car from someone else put the engine together, this stuff was all on there. You've been changing your oil filter regularly, and the shame of it is you might not be filtering your oil. So just keep this in mind. It's something to check out when you got time, especially winter's coming up, right? When you got time this winter, when you change your oil, drop this filter housing down, just check it out. So with this newer style or different style Transdapt assembly, again, it's a 1024 as a part of it. We got this thing on Amazon. It's not like I went to some specialty warehouse for this. Right from Amazon. I think it was 40, 50 bucks. I want to show what I do when I use these is I spray some red high-tack gasket maker or gasket sealant on this gasket. Now with this gasket here goes between this block and the engine block, right? It goes like that, and then it gets these two bolts, these two Allen head bolts that go through it like this. This goes in first, okay, just like this, and then this is going to go up inside your block here in this opening, right? And then that is going to be what your stud attaches to. So you're going to bolt this in, and then you're going to put this stud in. It's got the knurls in it, and I'll show you what I mean by knurls. Take a look at this. I don't know if you can see it in the video or not, but it's got little knurls, right? So you know which way it goes. I don't know. Can you see that, Sean?
Hang on. There you go.
So it's got this knurling in it, right? So it kind of locks. When this gets down and in, it's going to get to a certain point, right? And let's see, is it going to lock? No, this one's not going to lock, unfortunately. But we'll go and stake it on the backside. So I'll put this in first with some red Loctite. We'll stake it on the backside. We want this to lock. You don't want this to come out with your oil filter, right? And then that'll go in there. And then what happens is you take this plate, right? This plate's going to go over this. Now this style I like because it has this threaded shaft, okay? And you're gonna have to be creative here and use your thinking cap. But you see the distance that's sticking out. You got to make sure that your oil filter, once you spin it on, is going to be able to touch and thread into it. And the reason I Loctite that in there and stake it is because, number one, you don't want this to thread in and only have a half a thread catching when you thread your filter on. Number two, you don't want it to come out with your oil filter and make your oil change a pain in the neck. Now, you're going to have this hold down nut, But this thing is only made out of sheet metal. It's a really cheesy screw. It's the only disappointing part of this kit, in my opinion. But this is gonna help to lock everything in place. But again, I still red Loctite it, and I peen it over from the back. Then it gets this gasket. It goes around the back side, just like this. Just put it in there. Whoops. You're gonna get it on there. Make sure you put a little engine oil or assembly lube on this. Lithium grease, whatever you like. It doesn't matter to me. And then this is gonna go right in this recess like this, and it's gonna seat on this lip. Now, in this case, you gotta watch. The bolt from my engine stand is actually protruding through here by about 1/8 inch. So in this particular case, I can't just drop this right in right now. We're gonna put some more washers on this overly long bolt I have. Straighten that out, and I'll show you guys how it looks when it's finished. Now with this gasket, can you see this gasket on here? Pretty decent. Is there enough light?
Yeah.
So this gas is coming out to the perimeter like this. Can you see this in this recess where there is the other? I'll get another light. That's going to seat against this little lip on the outside edge. So you do have to be cautious. You want to get that thing to bite in there, and put some not RTV. Put some assembly lube or something like that around this outside perimeter, so everything kind of seats together nicely right down in here, and you'll have a leak-free adapter that is going to filter your oil. Because if you look at this, I'm just going to show this one more time. With this style, it would be impossible, completely impossible for the oil to bypass this, because it's literally coming from the backside here, threading directly into your filter. Okay, it's gonna thread in just like this. Oops. It's gonna thread in just like that, so that your filter is completely isolated, because this port and these ports need to be separate. They need to be separated in order for the filter to work, or it's just going to let oil float around in here and do nothing. So please, if there's anything on this video that you didn't understand, if you want me to point out a little bit better, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If there's anything on there you want me to point out, this is your oiling system. There's really no sense changing your oil or your filter if it's not filtering anything, because it's not installed properly. So that's that. I've looked before. I don't know if you can buy the gaskets for these, so if you have one of these and you want to get a new gasket for it, maybe there's a kit that they sell that you can buy the gaskets. But I've got probably, I'm going to say I have 6 or 7, maybe 8 of these laying around. Every time I get an engine now that has this, I haven't thrown them away because I'm a cheapskate, and I always think I'll be able to use something on like a Sunday afternoon. But the truth of the matter is, I'm not using these anymore. I think this is like $30 and change, and I think this is like, this one was like $40 or $50 and change. It's like $20 more to save your engine. So just a tech tip that for me, I do build engines here, and I've seen some catastrophic failure caused by this. So not a terrible design. You just have to know what you're working with. And I feel like this O-ring behind here is another maintenance item that, do you really want to have to mess with that and worry about it? I don't. So that's it, guys. Transdapt oil filter adapter. I'll tell you the truth. I actually think that this may even be, and this is like a Mr. Gasket or something. I was gonna say I think these might even be a Transdapt, but I think it's a Mr. Gasket deal. Stay away from these. In my opinion, stay away from these. Get this style if you have to do it. There might be other ones out there that are more expensive, more fancy, billet or something like that, but it's not necessarily what you need. This here, these work awesome. I've done a couple engines with those, 0 issues. All right, so here it is. We've got the adapter all in place. Everything is locked down. That thing went in like butter. Always just put a little oil or assembly lube on your filter gasket, and then go ahead and spread it right on. Now, I'm not pre-filling this. I always pre-fill an oil filter if it's hanging down. We're going to run the drill on this engine like I always do, prime the oil system, so that'll fill up the oil filter for us. But in this case here, we'll put on dry to keep things clean, and that's it. Check this out. I mean, this thing goes on there like butter. Exactly how it would be if you had a regular oil filter. Well, if you had a regular engine block, so without an adapter. So that works great. That's the filter that we use, the 5151 XP by Wix, or what's actually would be better, I just couldn't get my hands on it, is the Wix Racing ones. I trust them a little bit more. But this is still a good filter. It's got a nice heavy housing. Even you can't even squeeze this thing, so that's something to look for. When you look at these filters, you get a Wix filter anymore that you can squeeze the outside of that thing. It's not the old Wix filter that it used to be. It's a little bit cheaper knockoff. Still has the Wix labeling on it though, which will get you. But like these XPs, they're solid as a rock. The racing ones, super heavy duty, they hold a lot of oil pressure. So if you like what you see in here, please like and subscribe. The channel's grown. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Everything's going up. We're gonna keep doing more. It's time consuming, but we're loving it. We're having a great time, and we hope you are too. See ya.